Hello. So, if you're wondering what this video is all about, I make videos about esoteric sciences. Obviously, nobody has the last word in that science. We all chip in our own perspective, so do I. So, the second thing that usually I make videos on the topic of my videos uh, is nature, how how I see and how I'm fascinated by nature. And then one more subject really never bores me is economics. And I have not been able to figure out why it hasn't bored me. I guess this is one big validation uh, that something when something doesn't bore you, it is meant to be connected with you. Um, all right, so I I have struggled. I've struggled with bringing my focus in one direction, in one direction. And then when I found, I thought that I might as well. When I found a way, I thought I might as well share it with whoever is meant to hear this message. And here I am. So when you don't know which way you should go when it comes to your when it comes to your karma, you should be following your dharma. So what is your dharma? To diligently go in one direction. As in, after you've done some research, you don't blindly jump into things and find yourself in a soup uh, and then get disheartened by things, because that'll deplete you. That has depleted me. That can deplete anyone. So if you're on a crossroad where you don't know, this particular bit can ease things. Most of us will still not give methods and formulate any formulas and measurements a chance. We think that it's good for nothing, but they are not. The only thing is that we should be ready to unearth the information that is meant to be unearthed. So, if you're thinking, if you have this burning desire in yourself that you want to do something but you don't know what, I've been there. Then the mist started to clear up, uh, and then the road wasn't easy. And the methods that I used, and I see people using uh, intentionally or unintentionally, is this: when you narrow things down, you zero in things starting from a much wider perspective, a much wider place, to the core, which is you. So when you're thinking of starting something, venturing into something, you should ask yourself, you should just pay attention to certain things, and the larger things may not affect you that much, but there's no harm in having a sense of how these external factors are playing out. The first one is global economy. Just pay a teeny weeny attention to that. That shouldn't stop you in going ahead in forging ahead with your plan. But how's the global economy doing, especially the G7, the strong economies? I'm not particularly into G7, G8, whatever GGG, but then just pay attention to how strong economies are doing, how they are doing. So if they are already big economies, and if they are able to achieve a growth rate, that is, their GDP is growing at the rate of 2 to 3%, that's good enough. Because when these economies they crumble, it they have so much investments in so many countries, and since this whole, it's a globalized world now, all other countries also get affected. Now pay attention, the second step. If you've already taken the first step, the second step, if it is a ladder, the next, you've ascended to the next step. and now you pay attention to your own country's economy. Since India is forever developing, so uh just see, if a developing country is able to achieve 7 to 8% growth rate, that is its GDP or the gross domestic product is growing at the rate of 6 to 7%, is sustainable enough to for you also to make your way through. It'll help you. Why? Because you'll know in a minute. Then pay attention to your, all right, so the global economy is doing well, the country is doing well, um, and what about your region? What if you're stranded in a region which is stuck? What if you're stranded in a region which is barren? It doesn't have a vibrant economy. How would you find that out? There are certain ways. I'll let you know. I'll speak about it. So when you talk about your regional economy, what you, just a moment. Yes, what you pay attention to is not just the growth rate, but also what does your economy specialize into? How would you find that out? Don't be uh, don't be repulsed by certain facts, because they are going to help you. Even if they look technical in one glance, they are super duper not. So regional growth rate, how would you find that out? Whether you are in a place that can take you to some place. Compare your regionals, whichever region you are. Let's say any state. Let's say Maharashtra, which is doing one of the best. Why? We'll talk about in a second. So, uh, so compare your region's growth rate to the nation's growth rate. You know that after, if you don't know, I'm telling you, and I may also be wrong because different sources tell you different figures, but then if they are if they are similar, then you can buy it. So India is growing at the growth, it has its growth rate of 8%, and some at certain places it's written 7 point something, whatever. It's doing okay in 2022. Okay, so that's the average, that is average of all the states. That's the growth rate, right? And let's say Maharashtra's growth rate is 13%, so it's naturally scoring better than the national average, right? So it's growing. Compare it with the nation's growth rate. So it's one of yours is a one of the better performing nation states. If you're in Madhya Pradesh, so it may be growing at 6%. I'm giving you an example because I don't quite remember what the state's GDP growth rate was. Or if you're staying in some place like which is performing really well, like Uttar Pradesh. All right, let me tell you what five states are performing well. It's Maharashtra, it's Tamil Nadu, it's UP, that's Uttar Pradesh, and then you have Gujarat and uh, what was the other one? West Bengal, I guess. So there is an uncanniness in the whole thing. What is that? There is something really common between all these states. These are the states with maximum manufacturing industries. These are the states with maximum manufacturing industries. That's the second sector. Because you know there are three sectors: agriculture, industry, and service sector. And it is manufacturing that has the greatest multipliers effect in terms of in terms of producing more and more employment, because it has so many linkages. One big, large scale industry would employ a good number of labor, and that industry would be connected to a lot of forward linkages. And backward linkages. It would take raw material and different resources from different places. So it consumes so much and it produces so much. So, and the biggest multiplier effect any manufacturing has is the large scale industry. and the large scale industries are most abundant in Maharashtra. And then you have your Tamil Nadu, and then of course UP is the new kid on the block, which was doing very well in agriculture. Um, but there was a lot of pressure on agriculture, so it has off late doing performing very well in manufacturing also, but it is mostly medium scale because the specialization of agriculture has branched out to food processing industries, which could be included, which is included in the manufacturing, but it is not large scale in terms of large scale steel production or automobile and all those places. These industries are mostly medicine industries, food processing and stuff. And after that, you have, okay, so this was the second point, that just see how's your region doing. So if you are in Madhya Pradesh, your state is doing very well in agriculture, and its growth rate in agriculture is higher than the national average in agriculture. So if agriculture is growing at 3 to 4%, um, on a nation's level, and your state is performing at, because MP is supposedly, if I remember correctly, uh, it has its agriculture growth rate above 11% for consecutive 3 years, last consecutive 3 years, so it's good enough. So it has, so it's pretty much like, if you start something that is that aligns with the specialization of your state, you will not be swimming upstream, you will not be swimming against the current, you will be swimming along with the current. So the whole state is doing very well in agriculture, so you have also started something that is connected to agriculture. So it could be not just growing things or farming, it could be uh, food processing industry, like one of the best industry is in Bhopal, that is connected, one of the best, that is best industry, best performing industry in terms of revenue. It's basmati rice, so some nutriment, if I remember correctly, I don't remember the whole name, but it is some nutriment. It's about it deals with packaging of basmati rice and stuff. All right. So and if you are, and let's take another example, if you are, let's say, in you are in what is it called, yes, West Uttar Pradesh. That place is very well, that place is performing very well in IT industry. So if you start something connected to IT, if you're in Noida or Ghaziabad, you are going to have a lot of bright chances of getting contracts, where you can make when you can make IT programs or set up IT network, or analyze things through softwares. That is, you'll get work. Although all the work in all sectors, they get uh, uppity in spring and autumn, and it gets a little dull in extreme weather, because people usually go into survival mode, especially in a developing country. Summers are bad, and so are winters. But the country does very well in March, April, and September, October. That's when we have most of the festivals also, so the market is really booming at that time. So the gist of what I was talking on here was, pay attention to the global economy, pay attention to the country's economy, but don't let it stop you. But what really can be an impediment is the regional economy. If it is lagging behind, there are little chances you may end up squandering your efforts, your time. You may age without getting any success. So if you are placed in a place where you have aligned your venture with the specialization of the region, you are in a good place. So if you're in Gujarat and you've opened an industry for yourself, there are good chances, industry as in manufacturing industry, because Gujarat is again, along with Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh, these, and of course, and as I said, West Bengal, but West Bengal again more medium scale, small scale, connected to jute and uh, other sectors. Agro industries are there, large scale industries in Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, and now in Gujarat. That's where, so just find things, try to find your own aptitude. If you are into education, if you're interested in any service oriented field like education or research, or anything that is more to do with service sector or tertiary sector, just try and relocate yourself, or locate yourself in a place where there is a lot of urbanization, and urbanization happens where there are industries. So if you find yourself interested in service sector, but you are in a rural region, then rural region has other kind of service sectors like transport, like social care, like health care, but it doesn't score very well in higher education and such fields. All right, so the third, after region, after you have aligned yourself with your region specialization, the next is local market. Local market, if you are in a B tier city, for example, there are different kinds of B tier cities, and you know that all smaller cities, they have more of middle class than higher paying population. And then uh, if you are in a place which is slightly lesser than B tier, there will be more of lower middle class. How would you find things out? You'll find things out by, what you could do is, actually not much data is available, but whatever data is available, we can make good use of it. Find the region's GDP and population. If this population is too much and GDP is less, that is obviously they are not able to earn that much. And which is that sector which is not able to generate lot of revenues? Agriculture. That's why it has the least number of multiplier effect, also least multiplier effect as well. So if the GDP is more and the population is less, it means it has more of higher earning population, and that means it has high middle income group, and middle income group has a tendency to spend. If you take cues from pyramid of needs of Maslow, you'll see that they spend quite a bit on building self esteem. And what does self esteem building comprise of? Cosmetics, shoes, dresses, education, how you speak, what is you they really put in a lot of effort in how they project themselves to the world, how they look, etc., etc., etc. Lower middle class, they don't care as much, and rich people, they don't buy it from local markets mostly. So this is what it is. And you should also know that there is a good chance of your business running well if there is higher, if there is middle class, because they end up spending most of what they earn, like 70, the marginal propensity to consume is zero point 0.7, that is 70% of what they earn is spent. and poor people spend even more, but they, since they earn less, end up spending only on the lower parts of the pyramid. That's food, and lower food, shelter, and health. They don't they don't spend much on building their self esteem through the vehicles they use, or the way they look, the brands they wear. Yeah, fine. All right, now we come to, once even the local market is gauged that okay, fine, my state is doing very well in IT industry, for example, and the local market has a lot of higher income group. um, how would I price my product? That's how you decide, right? And how do you do that? You must be knowing it, ad infinitum, it must have been told to you, but I'm just doing a quick run on this. So how do you calculate? Your selling price is equal to the margin. Selling price, total profit, or total selling price would be your revenue, but it's not net revenue. So for example, you're selling your each product at 150 rupees. Your total revenue would be number of items you sold. So let's multiply 150 with y, and this particular amount would be equal to the marginal cost, your contribution margin, that is margin, okay, into whatever number of items sold, plus the fixed cost that you have incurred. You will obviously find it out on your own how you do it, but I'm just talking about it quickly, as an, all right. So after you solve, you'll find that once you solve this equation, you'll find that you'll have to sell 222.22 number of products. If we round it off, it'll be 223. Now if you want some profit also, because this is just going to lead you to the break even point, right? But if you want some profit, then add, let's say, add some whatever profit you're looking for. So instead of 30,000, what have I written? Just give me a moment. All right. So so instead of 30,000, you can write 45,000, add 45 into it, or whatever rate of return you are expecting. So you can easily find how many number of units you would need to sell, depending on the demand forecasting. But demand forecasting is better done on an intuition level when data is not available. Otherwise, there are programs of exponential smoothing that you can use, and then that's where they tell you, okay, this is the trend, this is the seasonal, this is the business cycle trend, this is the seasonal trend. So you find the average of it. I lost some light, that's why uh, things have started to look a little different, and that's how you do your short term for demand forecasting. But even if it is not there, you can have some idea on it. And finally, for the if we are looking at our very personal core, we found the price that we should sell our product at. We should also find we should also be aware of the we should also be doing competitive analysis. What how do you do it? You should know what are your direct competitors. For example, if you're selling some food item, okay, so direct food, what would be a direct competition? Somebody who sells similar kind of food item, like snack, or let's say if you're selling tea, your direct competition would be from other people who are selling tea. Your indirect competition would be from people who are selling coffee. So what you should be doing, first of all, focus on direct competition. How would you know where you stand? By SWOT analysis. That's just see how what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and what are your objectives, what are the threats, etc., etc., and what how are those your competitors faring, and then make changes accordingly. As for indirect competition, uh, what you could do is that maybe market your product being better than coffee in some way. um, but yeah, main focus should be on the direct competition. You can do it through pricing, slashing your the prices of your product, and never compromising with the quality, but that will depend on the funds you have. So in this way, basically, we can narrow things down. Too much Don't pay too much attention to the impeding factors on a macro level. Pay attention to your regional growth profile, then local growth profile. Always be aligned with the local and regional level, and then be sure whatever selling price of your product is will cover the debts that are created in not a very long time. And then what are the specialities, like you must have studied in oligopoly. What is the differentiation that you're offering? And finally, I spoke about the competition, how you can project yourself to be better than your competitors. So this is, I guess, just the tip of the iceberg. Things will get more detailed and more helpful. Yeah.